help from Burris and Elliott, I think, Guy. Just like I need help from you sometimes to avoid the eye roll, I think Burris and Elliott, you know, I think Paige and Lopez are going to need some gifts from them.
Yeah, and I was just going to ask, you know, when you're up and ad 6-3, one love ad, national championship on the line, do you try to do a little bit more if you're Elliott and Burris to make sure you win that game? Something different? It feels like you want to, right?
But I think that's the temptation you have to resist.
Right.
I think that's the passage. When players become champions, they understand that moment and that they don't have to do anything extraordinary. They just have to be so fundamentally sound.
Well, something as simple as Macy Elliott hitting another forehand.
How come she got to hit another forehand? Because they hit her another forehand.
Sure did. And look how far over she was. I mean, wow.
Phenomenal serve by Elliott. So big.
Time to hit that.
Jeez.
Wow.
Her serve, talk about an area of her.
Guy Moore along with Patty Hogan.
I just feel like this match is a prolonged surgical, you know, a surgery by Burris and Elliott. It's just, I mean, from the first point of this match, they had a plan in every scenario here.
For sure. And even if they get down an ad point or a break point, you know, we were talking about earlier about feeling pressure. I think they welcome the pressure of potentially winning a third nationals in a row.
Deuce.
Look at that off-speed ball. Got the miss, kind of right into Burris's body. Flat-footed type of forehand.
Deep.
Don't let a great athlete, you know, some great athletes just love that movement and thrive when they get a little bit movement. So, guys, Elliott and Burris pull this out. Macy Elliott would be 4-0 in finals of national championships. Won her first with Marcella Rodesno. 2 in a row with Lynn. And they are looking awesome in this final.
Great change of pace on that overhead from Burris, not hitting it too hard. So it doesn't turn into an offensive screen. I believe that's Lopez over there now on the backhand side. So Burris is in, Elliott are in transition. She dumps that ball in there soft so they could get set from a positioning standpoint, which has been, and you can see the difference here. You see Elliott sliding to the right, letting Lynn hit the overheads. That's not happening much with Paige and Lopez.
Not at all in this match.
Like there, you see, I mean, that allows Lynn Burris to have all sorts of unbelievable tempo because she's not worried about the ball changing direction or Elliott jumping in front of her. And then they just dump it right back over, and that's the pressure. Technical or tactical mistake? Clearly tactical.
30-15.
She's standing there.
Versus going at her, you know, with a rip.
Yeah, I think, I don't want to say they're trying to win a point with a drive like that, but if the mindset's, hey, I just want to make you volley for my next lob to be better, we're not going to miss in the net. Aim 6 to 10 inches above the net. That's a good spot right there. Tell you what, Patty, that You hear the sound of that coming off Burris's paddle? That is a shot. That is a strike. And you have Elliott over in the backhand side where you like her.
I really like her, whatever court she plays.
Well, you know, what's kind of
I'm not-
nice too is this tempo slows down and we have a longer game here. I love the fact that they're not switching back right now. Give them a different look.
Absolutely. And they're winning the match, and they're the ones initiating the different
Right.
look. Love that tactic.
Well, and that's what we were talking about earlier too. That is an in-game decision to change something. Not only good looks for Elliott, but look, Burris getting looks out of that forehand side.
See that overhead from Burris right there, letting that ball drop a little bit? She's got the little bit of a cutter going, Guy. I just said, watch out. When Burris develops a few more overheads, everyone's going to be in trouble.
That's a great lob. Wow.
Great hands, good hug.
In the beginning of that second set, they relax just a little bit, and the other team gets a bit of a lead. They always make good adjustments later in the set, but I'm sure in the Nationals finals, they want to avoid that. Volleys.
And I like their positioning a lot better up to this point in the match. We'll have to see if Lopez and Page can recognize this and, you know, make another tactical adjustment. Because they're going to have to, I think, to get this to 3 sets.
Looks like they're electing to go quick. Well, from a tactical perspective too, Patty, you can say, hey, we'll keep it simple. Let's take the #1 shot that's hurting us on the court off the court. And that has been Macy Elliott's forehand, setting all the movement up for Lynn Burris. The other thing about Elliott too that I like what she's doing in this match is she isn't always driving every ball that she could drive. She's keeping them kind of pushed back.
I mean, you just can't give the girl in pink that shot. No matter what, avoid that.
You see, so she had a little earbud in her ear. She heard all the Q&A. You just asked me about the forehand. Yep, that kind of sums it up.
Yep.
But in all seriousness, it's perfect. No backswing. Relaxed grip pressure, great paddle head speed, tons of topspin. That's why she's not going to miss it. And this is Patty, this is kind of where Lopez and Page hang around.
I mean, the physicality in that semifinal with Hanish and Zabori with these two was just ungodly, Guy.
It sure was. I mean, it was an amazing display of athletic skill by everybody, but I'll tell you what, the mental toll it takes to be that intense for that long.
30-50.
Patty, that match was at an intensity level of like a 9-10 for 2 hours. It's going to go to let it go through and play it off the back screen. They are not going to reach. They are not going to lunge.
I think Lopez and Page, you know, they got to keep pummeling that middle of the court. Continue to test the teamwork between Burris and Elliott there. And they're going to have to lob better, you know.
For sure.
It's been very tricky lobbing weekend with the wins, Guy. I see all of these women, she hangs out, and then, you know, she seems to always be able to rise for that moment. But I think because Page and Lopez have gotten the better of them this season, you know, up 3-2 in their individual matches, I think it's important for her to pull the trigger a little bit earlier here.
And one of their biggest 1-2 punches, Elliott and Burris, is Macy Elliott hitting that forehand and then Lynn Burris blitzing up her line. I would say this, Patty, from both sides. When your Burris or Elliott or your Lopez or Page and you feel like it's coming, you better be only looking for one ball, and that's the one right at you. Not chasing balls that are to your left or right. You have to have a very small window of what you're looking for.
I think both of these teams are such great competitors that I just don't think we're going to see a lot of separation in any of these sets, Guy.
I tell you what, Burris and Elliott are doing a phenomenal job of lobbing.
Page and Lopez in particular.
Well, she could hit her forehand to the whole court.
Right, but you have the Burris forehand, which is phenomenal.
Right.
But Macy just gets herself different looks, and I always feel like when Macy Elliott's feeling it, watch out.
So we'll see here once the drives start, they will continue. And you'll see how they move them around.
So they're just throwing up lobs here, Guy. Just a little cat and mouse, just nobody doing too much right here. Waiting till they get an off-balanced overhead hit off of a deeper lob or a really well-placed lob. Open up their firepower.
And I think the better Burris and Macy Elliott volley, the more you'll see them lob just to soften them up. And what I mean, just to get them pushed back where they're not hanging on top of the net to volley, because if Lopez and Page start scrambling too much, it's because they're driving too much. Great lob there, great lob. Yep.
It was a great lob because she had the ball on her forehand, Page did. She saw Burris make a move in, so she threw up a lob. She held her shot to that last second to make that decision.
And I think teams, when they play against Lopez and Page, the more they prove to them they can volley and they're not getting those errors, 3 or 4 shots in, volley mistakes, you will see them slow it down, and that's where they become so much smarter this year. They're not just playing one way. And what impressed me in the semifinals too, Patty, is how quickly, not only nice volley on crowd out there, right?
Ah, they're loving. You know, it's fun to be a spectator in Philly. You can just see everybody comes here. They're bundled up, Guy. They don't care how windy, how cold it is.
And towards the end of the last match with Lopez and Page, they did exactly what you just saw there. Lopez does a great job of driving the ball and setting up Page, who loves to transition in. I'm interested to see if they start the match very similar to what we just saw there on the first return.
An interesting first point.